This coaster is seriously underrated. Or it was, I don't even know. The Big Apple Coaster, yes. In today's video, we will be reviewing this not so beloved coaster and taking a deep dive into the forces, layout, and experience that this coaster provides, as well as giving it a ranking out of 10. As always, I always start out with the queue line and the theming, and it's alright here. You have to buy your tickets and walk through an arcade to get to the start of the line. The line is really short and that's about it. There's not a lot of people who ride this anyways, so the need for a long queue line is not there. Once you pass through the pretty much bare minimum queue, you get right up to the station platform. One thing that I found really interesting is that if you pay for a re-ride, you go through a different queue that just completely cuts the line. This is not that useful anyways because the line is never longer than 15 minutes, so yeah, but it's pretty interesting. Now once you get up to the station, you will notice the trains. These are your typical Premier trains, and as I have mentioned before, I like Premier trains. I really do. It's a bit of a tight squeeze to get in them and the comfort colors are a bit bothersome, but I just love the way they look and feel. I really do not know how to explain it. So the queue line and trains and station are all out of the way, let's talk about the highlights of this coaster, and that is the layout. You dispatch from the station and immediately take a left before climbing up a lift hill alongside a building. As I took a look around from the front row, I realized that I don't think I've ever ridden a coaster in the middle of a city, and the view is absolutely fantastic. I try to think of other coasters that do this, and the only one I could think of is Thunder Dolphin. Flashwing probably can think of another though, but the view is absolutely perfect, and is actually one of my favorite settings to ride a coaster in, only behind some good old Disney or Universal theming. Once you're to the top of the lift, you take your first drop, which provides almost no airtime in the front and back row, and surprisingly, I didn't notice much positives in the valley either. The second hill makes up for it though. On the turn, you get no airtime coming up, but you did get some good sustained floater on that drop coming down, along with some good positives in the valley. This is before you're thrown back up and take a left into a giant spaghetti bowl section. Now the spaghetti bowl is what makes up most of the ride. For me, the first two drops are more enjoyable, mainly because of the view and some airtime, but it's whatever, the spaghetti bowl is good as well. The first element is a loop, and it provides some mild positives throughout it, and is taken with some very good speed. You immediately transition into a dive loop. I wanted to refrain from talking about roughness because there is some on this coaster. I'll mention it again later, but this is definitely one of the jankier transitions. This element is taken with a lot of speed, which provides some good whip and also some of the shakiness, and pulling out of that dive loop you are met with some nice positives and shakiness on the pull out. Now this is where the layout really takes a hit. After this, there are no more standout elements. You pop up into a brake run that gives some airtime, and a drop down that gives some faint airtime, and the rest of the coaster consists of slow bunny hills, followed by a helix, followed by more slow bunny hills. So, these slow bunny hills. The first one is taken at a snail's pace and is utterly forceless. The other three give faint pops on the crest, and the helix is actually pretty fun. I generally don't like intensity, but I really appreciate it here, mainly because it's moderate. Imagine the helix on Goliath and take it down one octave. It's pretty much that. Mild sustained positives throughout a pretty long helix. The final brake run is indoor above the hotel, and something about that final brake run I really like. And no, it's not that the ride is over, I think it's just because it's inside. So what is the best road to ride? I think it's the front. The aesthetic of flying around through the city on a coaster is something that is rare and not really commonly found. The front row maximizes that view and gives that extra feeling that you're flying around. The back row is not really rewarding. The roughness increases very slightly. It's not noticeable if you're not paying attention to it though. The only positive of riding in the back row is the extra airtime in the bunny hill before the helix. I know that's really specific, but I mean, I guess there's a little bit more whip in the dive drop as well, but it's not comfortable whip because it's a little more janky. And after that, the forces are pretty much the same throughout. So the front row is definitely the way to go. I absolutely love the view and the aesthetic of flying through the city. I could just talk about that forever, and I probably should stop right now. Okay, yeah. So, my overall thoughts. This coaster is a little shaky. It's not rough, it's shaky. I, with my honest heart, say that this is the smoothest coaster in Las Vegas. How? I have no idea. I just thought that the first dive loop on El Loco gave me pain, while this coaster gave me no pain. So, yeah. This coaster is shaky, but it's 100% possible to look past this. The forces are pretty mid, there's no mind-boggling airtime, the moments are faint and not really sustained except for that second drop. The positives are overall pretty light, but those are sustained so it makes up for it. What really gets me for this coaster is the view. Being on rooftops, the New York buildings to your sides, the strip on the other, it's really just fun and the aesthetic blows this coaster out of the water for me and really is what makes me like it so much. For a final score out of 10, I'm going to give the Big Apple Coaster at New York, a 7 out of 10. That's it for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.